This is ITTV.
As we continue to explore IACP, the International Association of Chiefs of Police Conference in Boston this week, run across a very interesting booth with a very interesting CEO who can share with us, in this case, some coaching for first responders, because it does affect us even as consumers. So I want to welcome to the program the founder and CEO of First Responder Coaching, Jennifer Anderson. Jennifer, welcome into Tomorrow. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing wonderful. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Tell me a little bit about First Responder Coaching, and then let's get into the background. What got you into it, and how does it help so many people in various fields?
Thank you for asking those questions. So First Responder Coaching was born out of our own challenges. My husband was a former police officer, served in a local town here in Massachusetts for 15 years, and after that 15 years suffered a mental health break that led to a 6-week hospitalization. And so during that hospitalization, I was really lost, didn't know what resources were available, if there were any resources available, and unfortunately very few were in existence in 2017, 2018. And so I turned to coaching as a way to help us through.
Is this like a PTSD type thing? Because most of our audience knows I'm a former police officer for many years as well, and I can relate, unfortunately, as a result. So it was like a lot of overwhelming things on the job, right?
Absolutely. So yes, complex PTSD, generalized anxiety, depression, all of the above were factors involved in his mental health break. He was hospitalized, like I said, for 6 weeks, and through that experience of EMDR and a multitude of other different modalities, fast forward, he's doing excellently, and I'm very, very proud of his progress.
In fact, over your shoulder, I'm seeing this must be the picture of your husband and your kids. So
that was back in 2014. We took that in 2014, so before the mental health break, but I use it as a reminder of the person that he was, and just a happier time in our family's life. A happy time.
Well, but I'm guessing now it's also a happier time because of what you're doing, and first responder coaching, I'm assuming, is not limited to just police. I mean, you're working with fire and with various other first responders, yes?
Yes. Yep, so we cover all first responder organizations, from corrections and dispatch to law enforcement, military, fire, and EMS. So the entire range of our first responder community is who we serve. But life coaching is something that everyone can benefit from. So not just our first responder community, but many people outside of the first responder community have been moving toward life coaching as a resource to help people identify where they are now and where they want to be and how to get there. That's what coaching does.
I was glad to hear you mention dispatch as well, because I don't know of a lot of companies that are doing any sort of coaching or helping out that realize dispatchers go through the same thing. I mean, they're as if on the scene, but having to deal with us as consumers and citizens initially in panic mode most of the time, right?
Yes, absolutely. And if not even worse, because they aren't seeing it, they're imagining what's happening on the other line. And so to have the imagination at play, I think, can be really challenging. And then also they don't know the outcome of the call. So oftentimes they hang up once the police arrive or the firefighters arrive, and so they don't really have a sense of closure when it comes to those calls. And so having supporting services like coaching to help them move through some of those pieces is incredibly valuable.
I can again remember on the job, if you will, where a dispatcher would make contact with me long after a call, asking me to call the communication shift commander, and that usually told me she wants to know what happened. Did we take care of them? Did we save that person, et cetera? Because they are very emotionally involved as well.
Absolutely, and you never know who's going to be on that other line, and it could affect you in so many ways. I know that did certainly my husband, and so having those experiences just weigh on him, each shift, each day, a little extra weight, and that's a lot to take on in a career. And so if you're not mitigating those experiences, if you're not working through them, moving through them, talking about them, being supported through them, then that weight builds up. And unfortunately, it just overflowed in his case and in many cases. And so what are we doing? How are we being proactive? And what can we do to prevent that from happening to other families and other couples and individuals who are in this community?
So does an agency contract with your company, for example? They'll contact First Responder Coaching and say, we want to get proactive, because a lot of it is don't wait till something happens, right? It's prepare for something to happen and how you deal with it.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. So we do contract with departments across the country. We are currently in 23 states, and we're really proud of the growth that we've had over this very short time. But yes, absolutely, we are able to provide coaching services as well as training. So we go into departments and have conversations with everyone, top down, left, right, boots on ground, conversations about what coaching looks like and how coaching will impact and again, prevent and be proactive approach to the health and wellness of their departments. Recruitment, retention rates, all of those are affected by coaching services and being provided, having departments provide those services to their membership and spouses, I'd like to add as well. So we do offer spousal support through First Responder Coaching as well. So a lot of people that we're connecting with.
Again, very important. Spouses are as affected when their husband or wife comes home and has just dealt with yet another traumatic event, and you need that support from the spouse. Sometimes you got to talk it out, or you're just clamming up, but either way, they need to know what you've been through, at least to some degree, to help you get through it, right?
Yes, very much so. The spouses, I feel like, sometimes get left out of those conversations. And so to have those conversations with the departments and putting together spousal groups or spousal nights to show them what coaching is and what that looks like and how we can help support them is incredibly important. So absolutely a necessary part of the conversation.
Do you have any stats as to whether you're getting more help ahead of time versus post-traumatic incident? Those kinds of stats to show to the departments, whether it be police, fire, or otherwise, that getting ahead of the game is going to make a difference for your people.
Absolutely. In terms of the testimonials that we are receiving from people, the testimonials we get from people every day are just so supportive of using First Responder Coaching as that service, as that proactive piece. People are more prepared because they've had conversations. They are able to, as I mentioned, identify where they are and whether they need support through self-care, through balance, work-life balance, whatever those might look like. We help them accomplish those goals so they are more satisfied in all areas of their lives. So again, coaching anyone at any time about anything is really our mission, and to be able to support that proactive piece. So as you're moving through, right, having conversations about what is it that's important to you right now and that you value and have high satisfaction in, and how can we make sure that you're leaning upon those resources when trauma occurs to be able to move through it in really positive ways.
I love that whole concept of supporting folks anytime, any place, for anything, because it really opens the door and say, okay, so maybe you can help.
Yes, absolutely. So I know financial challenges exist in this community, relationship challenges, children. I mean, that's one of the largest challenges I know that many of our first responders experience, on the job. And then how do you leave a situation on the job with an infant or a child and then come home to your own? And then not have your spouse understand or know, how you're feeling about the situation. So absolutely, we can support anyone through anything that they're experiencing in their first responder lives.
And not to be a Dave Downer, but to what you said there about kids. I remember handling a drowning call as an officer for a 3-year-old who I worked on as hard and as best I possibly could. Even fire rescue said, no, keep up what you're doing. We're going to race you to the hospital. Unfortunately, lost the 3-year-old, but I had a 3-year-old home at the time. Yes. And I remember just racing home after that call and getting him out of his crib and hugging him. And today he's holding the camera. So, I mean, the fact is we can relate, because don't forget the kids. Because the kids wonder, why does mom or dad come home and they seem so sad?
Yes.
Again, coaching makes a huge difference.
Yes. And we also offer coaching for the teenagers of our first responder community. We've got a number of coaches who work with the teenagers, usually 15, 16 and up, on purpose, because again, they're at that point that they're recognizing and realizing the challenges that mom or dad are facing in their lives, and supporting them through it, I think, is incredibly helpful as well.
Well, Jennifer, how can our audience get more info about first responder coaching?
Thank you so much for asking. So they can certainly go to our website. It is 1ST, so the number 1STrespondercoaching.org. And they can certainly text or call 978-616-7989.
Terrific. Jennifer Anderson is the founder and CEO of First Responder Coaching. Thanks so much for joining us here in Boston.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Again, you want to visit First, as in 1ST, Responder Coaching. We'll get you there when you visit us at intotomorrow.com. Stay tuned. Much more to come from Boston this week. I'm Dave Graveline, right here on the Advanced Media Network.